Dawn coughed nervously, trying to break the awkward silence.
So, how's everyone doing tonight?
The group exchanged glances, unsure of how to answer. Finally, one of them spoke up. It was Marnie's close friend Julia. Yeah, just great. Never better. The tone was obviously sarcastic, and everyone knew it. I know you all are just as nervous as we are, Michelle said, giving a reassuring smile. And it's okay to be nervous. We're all here for a reason, and that reason is because we care a lot about Marnie and don't want to see her in pain. The group nodded, some more sincerely than others, and murmured their agreement. It was clear that while everyone was uncomfortable, they did genuinely care about Marnie and wanted to do what was best for her, even if it was difficult.
So why don't we go around and introduce ourselves? We probably all don't know each other, so I'll start. My name is Don Cesar, and I am Marnie's assistant. I've been working for Marnie for just under a year, and let me tell you, I didn't know how hard this role of acting principal could be. It's taken a toll on my mental health. Seeing Marnie like this makes me feel more responsible than ever, especially being that I worked with her every day, Don said, clearing the silence. One by one, each person introduced themselves, sharing their connection to Marnie and why they were there. Some had been friends with Marnie for years, while others were work acquaintances, but they all shared a similar sentiment. They loved Marnie and wanted to see her get better. Hi everyone, my name is Liz Pereira. I'm a former secretary at Marnie's work. I lost my job due to Marnie treating me like trash. She would bark orders at me and get upset when they weren't on her way. I worked with Marnie for 10 years. I got fired simply because I couldn't take it anymore. I lashed out on Marnie, and that's when I was let go. I don't regret any part of it. The abuse was getting really bad. I came because deep down I really care about her and would not like to see her go down the wrong path. Liz sniffled, introducing herself. Hi, my name is Julia. I'm one of Marnie's high school friends. We were very close in high school and college. We lost touch only a year ago, and I was wondering what happened, and now hearing about her addiction makes me feel devastated, Julia said, looking down at the ground. Hello everyone, my name is Sophia. I went to high school with Julia and Marnie. We were all good friends. When Marnie became principal at South Street, she stopped talking to me, saying she was going to be too busy to keep friendships. I reached out to her recently to send my condolences to her about her mother, and since then it's been complete silence. Julia shook her head, recalling the specific time. Hi all, my name is Gretchen. I've known Marnie since we were kids. We grew apart after college. When she would talk to me on the phone, she would complain about her coworkers and staff not being able to do anything right. We used to go to a yoga class together. I reached out to her recently, saying that if she ever wanted to come back, she definitely could. She would always say how it relaxed her and relieved her of stress. However, now it seems she's found something else to cope with. Gretchen shook her head. Rebecca swallowed hard, feeling the weight of the group's eyes on her. She took a deep breath before speaking. Hi everyone, my name is Rebecca. I am Marnie's sister. She paused, sniffling. Sorry, this is a little hard for me. I was very close with Marnie growing up. We would do everything together, whether it was shopping, gossiping, going on trips, or going out to eat. I never thought that she would turn to drugs. I just want to know what changed. Why would she cut off the closest people to her? I never understood it, so I just stopped trying. I'm hoping I can mend my relationship with her today. The room was silent as Rebecca finished speaking. Everyone was moved by her words, and tears formed in some of their eyes. Dawn especially looked emotional. Finally, Cara spoke up. Thank you for sharing that, Rebecca. It takes a lot of courage to open up like that. Michelle, would you like to continue?
Dawn asked. Michelle took a deep breath, steeling herself for her turn to speak. Hello, everyone. My name is Michelle Parker. I've been working with Marnie for the longest. When I started at South Street in '96, Marnie had already been principal for 6 years by then. At first, I thought Marnie was smart, confident, knew what she was doing, but that didn't last. She started tearing into people, my friends, Tanya and Carla. Tanya told me that Marnie would barge into her classroom mid-lesson and accuse her of being incompetent. Carla got it worse. She was showing a math worksheet she'd made, some problems pulled off teachers pay teachers like everyone does. Marnie flipped out, called it copyright infringement, told her she was violating protocol. Carla snapped back and said, "You're not the teacher. Don't tell me how to teach." Marnie slapped her, right there. Carla took a leave and reported it. She shook her head. My first run-in was over something stupid. I was smoking in my car, off school grounds. Marnie stormed out, screaming about setting a bad example, like that's the hill she wanted to die on. Over time, it got worse. She'd come into my class, yell at me in front of my students, talk about professionalism while cussing me out. She paused and added, Last week, during PD, I called her out. She had coke under her nose, blatant. I said, "You know what else is illegal? Doing coke in your office." She lost it, screamed at Dawn for not telling her. Michelle looked down. It wasn't a rumor. She was using. And now, sitting here, planning this intervention, I just wish we'd done it sooner. She's spiraling. And despite everything, I want her to get better. There was another moment of silence as Michelle finished speaking. Some of the group members looked shocked, while others just seemed sad. Cara was the first to speak up, breaking the silence. "Michelle, thank you for sharing that. It must have been hard to open up about those difficult memories." The others nodded in agreement, clearly moved by Michelle's words. Cara cleared her throat. "Hi everyone, I'm Cara Battaglia. I've worked alongside Marnie for the past 10 years. Michelle and I got close early on. We taught the same grade. Teamed up a lot. I'll be honest, I didn't like Marnie from the start. One day, she stormed into my classroom and started cussing me out. For nothing. It was during an open house. Michelle and I had combined our rooms and put together a joint presentation. Parents were asking questions. Things were going well. Then Marnie barged in and told my presentation was too pretty for school and that I needed to work on my professionalism, which is rich, coming from her. Cara shook her head. Another time, Michelle and I met with Shork to talk about funding a pumpkin patch trip. Marnie shut it down immediately. Said field trips aren't fun when the teachers stand around complaining. We tried to push back, but she wouldn't budge. So we ended up doing a virtual pumpkin patch on our computers. It was pathetic. That day, she told me that if I wanted the trip funded, I'd have to pay for it myself. Out of pocket. I haven't brought it up since. She's stubborn, stuck in her own world. Doesn't care about the kids, definitely doesn't care about the staff. Cara's voice dropped. And then the coke started. It changed her. Her attitude, her behavior, everything. I really hope this intervention gets through to her. I'd love to take my students on a real trip again. Something joyful. Something she used to believe in. She sighed, the weight of it settling in. Everyone was processing what they had heard, and the gravity of the situation was weighing heavily on them. Finally, Don spoke up, his voice quiet but firm.
"We've all shared our stories and experiences with Marnie, and it's clear that there's a pattern of behavior that's been negatively impacting us all. But tonight is about more than just sharing our stories. It's about taking action to help Marnie before it's too late." Don picked up his phone and checked it. "Marnie's on her way," he reported, setting the phone down. 10 minutes, he informed the group.
"Oh, thank God!" Michelle put a cigarette into her mouth to light it. "Hopefully I can take this down before she gets here." Don shot Michelle a disapproving look as she lit her cigarette.
"Michelle, you know you're not supposed to smoke in this environment," he chastised her.
Michelle rolled her eyes. "I need something to take the edge off," she murmured. "Ditto." Cara put a Newport into her mouth, standing over the kitchen counter. "Michelle, do you want a vodka chaser? I was thinking about making one and chugging it before Marnie gets here," Cara offered. Michelle considered the offer for a moment before nodding. "Sure, why not?" she said, a determined look on her face. "Just one, though. I need to keep a level head for this intervention."
"And now you two are drinking. Great. What a wonderful start." Don rolled his eyes.
"Oh, relax, Don," Michelle shot back. "We're just having one drink. It's not like we're going to get wasted." Cara took a sip of her vodka chaser and grimaced at the taste. "Besides, we need something to help us relax before Marnie gets here," she pointed out. Don looked at both of them with a mix of disbelief and frustration.
"You two are unbelievable," he said. "We're supposed to be holding an intervention, not getting wasted. This is serious."
But Michelle and Cara just ignored him, taking another sip of their drinks. "Relax, Don," Michelle said again. "We're just taking the edge off. You should try it sometime." Rebecca stood up from her spot on the couch, walking over to Michelle and Cara over at the other side of the counter. "Hey, do you mind making me one as well? I usually don't drink much, but I think I'll need it tonight," Rebecca asked, her voice shaking. Michelle and Cara gave each other a knowing look before turning to Rebecca. "Sure, we can make you one," Michelle said with a nod. Cara quickly poured some vodka into another cup and added some cranberry juice to it. "Here you go," she handed the drink to Rebecca. "Be careful, though. It's pretty strong." "I don't mind strong." Rebecca picked up the glass and chugged the whole thing in one shot. Michelle and Cara's eyes widened as they watched her take down the whole glass. "One more, please." She gave them a crooked smile. Michelle raised an eyebrow at Rebecca's request. "Are you sure you need another one?" she asked, a hint of concern in her voice. Cara shrugged and just started pouring another drink. "Your funeral," she murmured under her breath. "Thank you," Rebecca said, taking the glass and walking back to the couch. Don watched the scene with a frown on his face.
"Rebecca, you shouldn't be drinking so much before we do this," he said, his voice stern. But Michelle piped up.
Let her be, Dawn. She's a grown woman. She can handle it. Cara took a sip of her own drink. Dawn, stop being such a prude, she teased. A little alcohol never hurt anyone. And you don't always have to babysit us, Cara rolled her eyes. We can handle it. As everyone waited in silence for a few minutes, the doorbell rang. All right, everyone, act normal, Dawn said softly. The others nodded in acknowledgement, straightening up and trying to appear calm and collected. Finally, Cara opened the door to reveal Marnie standing there anxiously. Hello, Marnie, Cara said, ushering her inside. Hey, Cara, Marnie replied, forcing a smile. Her eyes flickered around the room, taking in the sight of everyone's tense faces. Is everything okay? Everything's fine, Dawn answered tensely. Come on in, Marnie. We have something we need to talk to you about. He stood up, inviting her into the family room where they were all sitting. Marnie's smile faltered slightly as she stepped further into the room, sensing the tension in the air. Hey, everyone. Wait. Why are you all staring at me? Marnie looked down for a moment. Okay, what's going on? Hey, Marnie, Rebecca said, standing up and pulling her in for a hug. How are you? Hold up, Marnie raised her hand. What the hell are you doing here? Who invited you, bitch? Marnie pushed her off. The room fell silent as everyone watched the exchange between Marnie and Rebecca. Dawn shot Marnie a disapproving look, but no one said anything. Excuse me? Rebecca exclaimed, stepping back. This is a very important meeting. We have something to tell you. Marnie's face hardened and her eyes narrowed. And what is it exactly that you all need to say? She asked, her voice icy. Dawn spoke up, trying to keep the conversation on track. Marnie, we're here because we're concerned about you. We've noticed some changes in your behavior lately, and we think it's time we address them. Marnie is visibly taken aback upon hearing about the intervention. She rolls her eyes, trying to brush off the concern. Oh, come on, really? An intervention for me? Despite her demeanor, it's clear that the thought of her friend staging an intervention troubles her. Marnie, this is your intervention, whether you like it or not. You need help, and instead of denying it, you have to face it, Don said, nodding his head. Marnie's nonchalant manner falters, and she becomes defensive. I don't need help, she retorts. I'm fine, okay? I have everything under control. No, you're not fine. You've become an irritable pain in the ass, Michelle shouted at the top of her lungs. Marnie winces at Michelle's outburst, stung by the harsh words. Anger flashes in her eyes, but quickly fades, replaced by a mixture of guilt and resignation. She crosses her arms, trying to maintain a tough exterior. What on earth are you talking about? I'm not a pain in the ass. I just have a lot going on, okay? I've been stressed, and the last thing I need is to be ganged up on. Don't be ridiculous, Michelle retorted. We're not ganging up on you. We're only trying to help you. As Michelle's words sink in, Marnie's defensive stance relaxes slightly. Maybe I don't want your help, she says harshly. I can handle this on my own. Michelle put a cigarette into her mouth and flicked the lighter. You can keep telling yourself that, but you're going down the wrong path, and we're all aware of it. Marnie's eyes narrow as she watches Michelle light her cigarette. A small knot formed in her stomach. She knows she can't deny their concern any longer, but the thought of confronting her issues terrifies her. Fine, maybe I have made some mistakes, but I can fix them on my own. I don't need an intervention, she argues, the hint of desperation in her voice. Aw, do you need a line of coke to confirm that? Michelle tempted, heating up the argument. You're putting yourself and others in danger while you're using. Marnie's eyes flash with anger, and she snaps back. I don't need a line of coke to know anything. I told you, I have it under control. I'm not putting anyone in danger, okay? Michelle takes a long drag from her cigarette and blows smoke in Marnie's direction, a gesture designed to provoke a reaction. You think we don't notice how irritable and how paranoid you've become? Or how often you disappear for hours on end without an explanation? Marnie glares at Michelle, her hands clenched into fists as she struggles to control her anger. Dawn's attempt to defuse the situation only adds to her frustration. I don't need everyone tiptoeing around me and treating me like I'm some fragile porcelain doll, she snaps. I can handle the truth. You don't have to baby me. So tell us then. Have you been using since your suspension? Finding another way to cope, perhaps? Because I'm pretty sure I got through to you when I called you a terrible principal and told you your behavior was endangering the lives of our staff, Dawn asked. Marnie's confident facade crumbles and a crack appears in her tough exterior. She looks away, avoiding Dawn's gaze. She stumbles on her words, clearly caught off guard by his pointed question. After a moment of silence, she sighs and mumbles. Fine. Yes, I've been using. Happy now? Exactly what I expected. Michelle took a long drag. And would you say you're feeling proud of yourself when you use blow, or do you feel like a mistake? Marnie's expression hardens, defensiveness seeping back into her voice. Of course I don't feel proud, she retorts. But I do it because it helps me cope, okay? You have no idea what I'm dealing with. She hugs her arms around herself tightly, the vulnerability she tried to hide from them finally slipping through.
You know, Marnie, I'm really disappointed in you. I thought I was doing the right thing by suspending you, but it seems you haven't made any progress. Today we've gathered your close friends and family here to discuss why we care about you and why you deserve help, Dawn scoffed.
Marnie's jaw locks. Dawn's honesty stings. She clenches her fists, caught between shame and defiance. If that's what it takes to put a stop to all this bullshit, I'll get help, she mutters, her voice tinged with bitterness. Dawn nodded, appreciating her corporation.
Thank you. Cara, would you mind reading the speech? He says.
Cara took a deep breath, trying to contain her anxiety. Welcome to your intervention, Marnie. We've seen a shift in your behavior lately, and it's been deeply concerning. It's not just affecting you, it's impacting our friendship too. We felt hurt, confused, and unsure of how to help, but we're here because we care about you. This isn't about blame or judgment. We just want to support you and help you find your way back. We also recognize that you might need more than we can offer alone, so we've gathered some resources that could help. Whatever happens, we're not walking away. We're here for you, and we'll stand by you through this. Cara finished reading and took a sip of her drink. Marnie listened, struggling to process the words being spoken to her. Her initial defensive reaction slowly gave way to a mixture of emotions, confusion, shame, and a hint of relief. Tears welled up in her eyes, and her lips quivered as she tried to keep her emotions in check. Dawn, noticing the shift in Marnie's emotions, spoke gently yet firmly.
Marnie, you don't have to say anything right now if you don't want to.
I'm sorry, Marnie whispered, her voice shaky. I know I've been acting strangely and haven't been myself. It's hard to explain why I use cocaine. It's not that I'm proud of it. It makes everything easier. I know it's not healthy, but it's like I can't cope without it, she sniffled. Dawn nodded, giving Marnie a sympathetic look.
It's okay, Marnie. We understand that it's not easy to talk about this, but we want to help you.
Marnie took a deep breath, continuing. I guess I've just been feeling overwhelmed lately. There's so much pressure to be the perfect principal, and sometimes I feel like I can't measure up. And then there's my personal life, and the stress just builds up until I feel suffocated. That's when I turn to the drugs. It's like a temporary escape from all the pressure and expectations. Marnie's words hung in the air, the weight of her confession settling heavily in the room. Don leaned forward, his eyes filled with empathy and concern.
Marnie, it's obvious that you're dealing with a lot, but using drugs is not the answer. It may provide temporary relief, but it's not addressing the root cause of your stress and anxiety. And it's dangerous, both for your health and your career.
Rebecca took a deep breath, steering herself to say the difficult words she knew needed to be said. Marnie, I see the way you've been spiraling out of control, and it hurts. You're not only hurting yourself, but you're hurting us too. It's hard to watch you go down this path of self-destruction. I know you're under a lot of stress and pressure, but using drugs is not the solution. Marnie's eyes widened somewhat, a mix of defensiveness and guilt flickered across her face. She looked down at the floor, avoiding Rebecca's gaze. I know it's been hard on all of you, she admitted, her voice barely above a whisper. But you don't understand how much pressure I'm under. You don't know what it's like to be in my shoes. Rebecca pressed on, refusing to acknowledge Marnie's response. I hope you understand that your addiction has shattered your friendships, including one of the closest you ever had with me. Her voice trembled. You didn't just hurt the teachers at that school. You shut me out completely and turned to drugs. Do you have any idea how heartbreaking and terrifying that's been for me? Marnie winced. I mean, I knew I was causing some problems, but I thought you'd all stick by me anyway. Rebecca shook her head, reaching for her glass. You're really gonna pretend you weren't the one who cut me off? Unbelievable! Marnie's face softened with regret. No, I know I'm the one who cut you off, she said, her voice cracking. Work's been overwhelming, and I slipped into a dark place without realizing the damage I was causing. I never meant to pull you into it. Dawn and the others in the room remained quiet, watching the sisters exchange. Rebecca's eyes narrowed, a mix of anger and sadness in her expression. Marnie, that's a poor excuse for shitty behavior. You pushed me away when you needed me the most. You didn't even give me a chance to help you, to be there for you. I know it was wrong, Marnie replied, her voice quieter now. I shouldn't have pushed you away. I just didn't want you to see me like this, broken and addicted. I thought I could handle it on my own, and I didn't want you to be burdened by my problems. She dropped down as her head fell into her hands. Rebecca softened a bit, but her voice still had a hint of anger. Marnie, it's not a burden to have me by your side. As your sister, I'm supposed to be there for you, even when things are tough. That's what family does. We stand together, not push each other away. Marnie hung her head, tears streaming down her face. I messed up, okay? She admitted. I let my fears and insecurities get the best of me, and I pushed you away when I actually needed you. I was so focused on hiding my problems that I didn't realize how much it would hurt you. Marnie looked up at her sister, desperation in her eyes. Please, Rebecca, I'm begging you to forgive me, she pleaded. I know I messed up, and I know I hurt you, but I promise you, I'll make up for it. I'll do whatever it takes to earn back your trust and your love. You know what you can do? You can get help. This is something you need to work on, but I'd be happy to guide you. Rebecca gave Marnie a reassuring smile. Marnie nodded, swallowing hard. You're right, I do need help, she admitted, her voice trembling slightly. I don't know where to start or what to do, but I know I can't do this on my own anymore. Don, who had been quietly watching the interaction, finally spoke up. We're all here to support you, Marnie, he said, his voice firm yet still kind. And that includes helping you find the resources you need to get better. But it's important to remember you're the one who needs to make the decision and put in the work. Marnie nodded, her gaze dropping to the ground again. I understand, she murmured, her voice barely above a whisper. I know I've messed up, and I know it's going to take a lot of work to get better, but I'm willing to do whatever it takes, as long as I have the support of you all. Rebecca, still feeling a mix of anger and sadness, spoke up. Marnie, I want to be there for you, but I also need you to understand how much you hurt me. It's going to take time for me to trust you again. Marnie's eyes welled up with fresh tears, her heart heavy with regret. I know I hurt you, Rebecca, and I'm so sorry, she whispered, her voice choked with emotion. I don't expect you to trust me right away, and I know it's going to take time to rebuild our relationship, but I promise you, I'm committed to making things right and being the sister you deserve. Come on, guys, hug it out, Don smiled. Don's suggestion to hug it out cut through the tension in the room. Rebecca and Marnie stared at each other for a moment, the pain and the hurt of the past still lingering between them. But then, slowly, they moved towards each other, their arms hesitantly coming around each other. Don, Cara, and Michelle exchanged relieved glances, grateful for the glimmer of hope and reconciliation between the sisters. This was a small step in the right direction.